grateful to be with you this beautiful Wednesday for Kitchen Conversations. Al and I are in the house doing what we do together. I'm grateful to have him back with me to share this time and to be a beautiful support that he is as we grow and learn together. So today, oh, and I hear a little ring. Today we are talking about the meaning of diversity and inclusion. And I want to say this up front, that I feel that Universal Spirit Center, I'm calling us out. I'm calling each and every one of you. Calling each and every one of you to invest, investigate, and learn how you are participating with diversity and inclusion. And you know, I realize for the most part, I too thought that diversity was enough, but it is not. It is just the beginning. So, as we always do, let us get ready to set the intention for this evening. To set, how we doing over there, Al? Can you hear me? I love it, yeah. We're just gonna check it. We're just gonna check it and make sure, because we're doing some new things with sound, and I wanna make sure. So, we are joined together in this moment, in this time, to come together and consciously elevate, express, and be who we are. So this prayer goes out. This prayer goes out to all of us, that we recognize we're not alone. When you're down and troubled, need some love and care. Nothing is going right. Ooh, keep your head together and call God's name aloud. Soon you'll hear Spirit knocking in your soul. You just call out God's name, and you know wherever you are, God is with you, always and forever. And don't you know that winter, spring, summer, or fall, all we gotta do is call. God is there. God's your friend. Ain't it good to know that God is your friend? 'Cause people can be so cold. They can hurt you and desert you. Take your soul if you let them, but don't you let them, 'cause you just call out God's name, and you know wherever you are, God is with you always. And so we're going to take this right now and take it into our heart space. And in this moment, we're going to recognize that the divine power and the presence of God is our absolute. That there is a friend that we can always call on. It is a divine knowing, it's a divine intention, an infinite expression that is with each of us. In this time and space where we are, this consciousness of spirit is flowing through you in a way that you've never experienced before. But don't be afraid, because you've called forth to be here at this time, to expand and to shine the light of God that is within you. So we just allow this loving light to be all that it is, to shine magnificently, to be the brilliant excellence that we are, to recognize that God is our friend. I'm so grateful to be with you tonight to share this divine opportunity about diversity and inclusion. And let's kick it off with a video. What a powerful video. The first time I saw the video, I cried because the understanding of diversity is one thing, but inclusion is a total, it's a whole, another expression of really incorporating that which we've called in. And so I want to share this story with you that was shared with me, and I have permission to share it. One of the sweet angels that's part of the Racial Equality Project shared this story with me that a week or so ago, she was on the bus, and there was a Latina woman sitting up front that had the appearance of being unsheltered and a little disheveled, and was constantly asking the driver, where's this, where's that, where's this? And she felt herself like, lady, come on, get over it, just get with the program. And then there was a stop, and this other woman got on the bus that was, had a very robust frame, and the beautiful spirit that was unsheltered had a lot of things with her. And so this other sweet angel that got on that was very robust was like, hey, can you move this out of the way? And the woman said, no, I cannot. And the other woman that got on the bus, I'm going to give them names so that we can be clear. So the unsheltered woman, we'll call her Sue. And the robust woman that got on, we'll call her Kelly. And so as Kelly was like, hey, move your things out of the way. And Sue was like, I can, there's nothing I can do. So as Kelly went and sat down, she was angered at this woman, and she yelled at her, you know, go back where you came from. You don't belong here. And so the sweet angel, and I can say her name because she gave me permission, Pat, who was on the bus, was, it hit her. It was like, oh my God. And so she thought for a moment, I should say something to this woman. But then she realized that Kelly was so angry that to say something to her was to continue the vibration of anger. So what she decided to do was get up and go and sit next to Sue. And as she was making her way there to Sue, Kelly noticed one of her tattoos and said, hey, that's a really nice tattoo. And she just looked at her because she was still caught in this vibration of, you don't belong here, go back to where you came from. And she shouted that, Kelly shouted that out very loudly over the entire bus. So when Pat went to go sit with Sue, she started a conversation. And so Sue shared with her that her family had migrated here many, many years ago from Argentina and Spain. She was part of, she had Aztec heritage within her. And she talked about her journey and the fact that she was, I think, 70 or 80 now in age, and found herself unsheltered and had never been in this space before, but very proud to be an American because she was born, she was an American woman. And so as they talked and they laughed and they had a great time, Kelly, the woman that had gotten on the bus that shouted out, you need to go back to where you've come from, as she went to the front of the bus to exit, she turned to the woman, she turned to Sue, and she said, I'm sorry. I apologize. I was wrong. I never should have said that. And you know what? You're a beautiful woman. And Sue appreciated the apology. There was no blah, blah, blah. She just said, thank you. Thank you very much. And Kelly exited the bus. And so I share this story with you because in this time and space, for me, it filled my heart with so much love and appreciation. And I said to Pat, I was like, wow. This is a part of what Racial Equality Project, what we do, is that we understand that this is not just something that's a committee that's off to the side. This is a living expression that we have in our lives. And so she took a light and decided to shine a light instead of confrontation. And because she decided to go and sit next to Sue and engage in a conversation, it inspired the other woman, Kelly, to look at herself. Pat didn't shame her or blame her, didn't curse her or name her. But because Kelly saw her step up in a way that it called to her that she could be a better expression of love. When people ask, why do we have the Racial Equality Project at Universal Spirit Center? This is why. Because it is a living vibration of consciousness in movement, in action. And Pat, I just adore that she shared that story. I adore that her consciousness was elevated to a space because she thought about going at the woman going, you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't do this, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there was a greater calling because she does her work, she practiced a spiritual essence of being. And what called to her greater was to go and talk to this woman, Sue. Commune with her, recognize that she is a human being. It just touched me in so many magnificent and wonderful ways. And I'm very grateful and blessed that Pat is a part of our Racial Equality Project. And so once again, I encourage you, come by and say hi to us on Sunday. Somebody's at the table. Pat will be there on the first and third Sunday of every month. Kathleen, who's also a member, will show up at the table, and also Carolyn Floyd, who's also a member of our Racial Equality Project, and me. Talk to us. Let's engage in conversation. And if that doesn't work, we are at our community Zoom every second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock. You go on our webpage, click the community Zoom, and we will be there. And you're free to express, to talk about anything that you have concerns about, that you are encouraged about, or things that may darken your heart space. So as we are diving in this week and next week, we will be talking about diversity and inclusion. You know, diversity is one block. So diversity, everybody's all excited. Let's get every type of race and color, religion, sex, spirituality. Let's get everybody. Let's, as it says, race, color, national origin, ethnicity, religion, age, sex, gender, sexual orientation, medical history. Let's get everybody. Let's open our doors to everybody. Well, that's just the first step. That's just the first step, because after that, the second block is inclusion. And it's kind of like that thing when you ask for change in your life and then it unfolds and you think, well, wait a minute, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean for it to be in that capacity. I didn't want to have the challenges that go along with change. But inviting diversity into our community, inviting diversity into our world. Diversity without inclusion is empty. I want to read this. Diversity versus inclusion in the workplace. Diversity and inclusion are complementary terms that depend on each other. Diversity describes the variation of personal, physical, and social characteristics that exist, while inclusion refers to the procedures, organizations, implementation to integrate everyone into the workplace. To implement everyone into the workplace. In other words, diversity indicates the what and inclusion the how. And so I have found that at Universal Spirit Center, we have some work to do. We want to be a community that is diversified, but we have not learned how to include everybody. We have unconsciously stepped and hurt other people with mindless conversation. And that's not an attack on Universal, that's an awakening that we can do more. We are a community that is expanding in consciousness, but that also means we have to do the work. And so I have been looking for someone to come in and teach inclusion for our community. I thought I would have someone by next week. That hasn't happened yet. I'm still working on it, so I want you to know that. Because I am dedicated to us understanding that, and I myself, it's not just about being a community that has diversity. It's about being able to communicate and really being able to recognize each and every person. And with that, that means the inclusion means that there will be change. It cannot be the same old, same thing, same time, same rhyme. Because you can't honor people if you keep like, oh, okay, you can come here, but this is the box you have to fit in. Then there is no inclusion in that. That's merely a mirror of diversity. We may check off some check marks, but we are not truly living in that space. And so, you know, I have had many different experiences. And Centers for Spiritual Living, religious science. Yeah, I've been blessed that I've traveled around for a very long time. And I've had people that have said things to me in their bias thinking, in their group thinking. And I, too, have had my bias thinking, group thinking. And so as I've begun to dive into inclusion and how the importance of that, diversity without inclusion is an empty promise. It is an empty dream because the two must coincide together. So I'd like to challenge you, Universal Spirit Center, whenever you see this, be it now or at a later date, I'd like for you to think how Universal Spirit Center can be more inclusive. I'd like to think how you can be more inclusive. Do you judge people because of their medical history or their medical livingness? They may be in a wheelchair, may be mentally challenged. We love to put labels on people. Are you doing that? And I know some people will say, well, come on, come on. I mean, it's what it is. It's what we knew. It's what we knew, and it's what and how we knew to work. But it does not work if we are going to go to the new frontier. Will you go to the new frontier? That means, are you willing to change the thoughts that you think now? Are you willing to call yourself out when you're being biased, when you're being judgmental, when you're being prejudiced, when you're being racist? Are you willing to call yourself out? This is the call that Universal Spirit Center has on its door right now. As a spiritual community, I believe it is our duty to rise in consciousness and to shine a light of love. I work on being a light of love, that when I am in that space where someone or something is saying something racially ignorant, is doing something that is not in alignment and honoring people, that I will shine a higher light, that I will be a light of solution. Pat was a light of solution. She was not in the lower vibration of confrontation. And because she was not, it inspired Kelly, the woman that got on the bus, the very robust woman. It inspired her to recognize her own self in that moment. That's how valuable we are. That's how important we are. And that's how we can contribute to this divine change. Make no doubt about it. We are changing. The world is changing. Get over it. It will not be what it was yesterday. It will not be what it was 2 years ago. There is a change happening. We are in the midst of one of the most dramatic conscious evolutions. Don't be afraid, because you are a part. Either you're slowing it down, or you're a part of speeding it up. As Pat was a part of speeding it up that day. But we have those moments, all of us. I've made a promise to myself that I will no longer sit in silence with any of my friends that make derogatory statements towards anyone. I have before been afraid or didn't want to have a confrontation with them, but I realized that I can say it in love and light without it being a confrontation. I can clearly just state what I am being willing to be present to, what I am being willing to want to participate in. One of the greatest things that is unfolding right now is a new possibility. There's a new way of living. So this equal opportunity that is talked about constantly, equality. How could we ever have equality without inclusion? And next week, we're going to dive in deeper to inclusion, but really just wanted to set the platform that diversity, being able to reach out to a majority or different people, different sex, different spiritual practice, that's all great and good, but without the connection of inclusion, it's wasted. So in our community, we have fallen short of being inclusive. We have made statements, we have said things that have hurt people. And I want to apologize for that. I won't go into stories, but I will say this. I want to apologize. And I will also say this. Thank you for pointing it out. Thank you for saying something. Thank you for standing in that space. So it is now up to us to do the work, to work on being inclusive with all that we invite in. You know, I had an experience, I guess it's been about a year ago, in understanding the importance, the importance of, in the LGBTQ community, and also in the gender recognition of how you qualify yourself, how you see yourself. And I really am going to have, I can't remember her name right now, but I'm going to have her come back to the center because they did a training that we did online. And it was very informational. It was very eye-opening for me. And one of the things that I have found with myself that, you know, is I knew this. This is what it was. You are he, I'm a she, that's what it is. And so that understanding, that space was then. It was truly then. There were others that were experiencing things different, but because it wasn't and had not been in my purview, I could not understand it. And so we have things right now that you may not understand it. You go, well, you know, that doesn't make sense because this is what and this is how. There's the cue right there. When you go into a space of this is what it has been, this is how it should be, that right there is a bell going off. This world, this divine global expression is changing. And it's changing for our higher expression of good. It's changing for our higher appreciation of all. It's changing for a consciousness that understands that there is a greater expression that is coming forth from each and every one of us. And just because I do not choose to express that way, that does not make anyone else's expression less than. I've had a few situations that I've traveled to in the CSL communities because the majority of the audience has been my beautiful white brothers and sisters, which we all know this. And so I've had some people that have come up to me and said, hey, you know, I couldn't understand you because you were speaking in slang. I was like, what? When we invite inclusion, we invite everyone. And, you know, those times that I had people say that they couldn't understand me, that I wasn't speaking English well enough. I wasn't enunciating properly. You didn't say that word correctly, Gino. And yes, it hurts. And here's the thing about that. Diversity says, hey, we want everyone. We want Latina, we want Jewish, we want Hispanic, we want Portugal, we want everyone. We want any and everyone to know that you're welcome. The click has to come on that if you're welcome in the box of the old paradigm, which means you have to speak a certain way. And someone will say, well, I need to be able to understand you. Perhaps, it's maybe to start learning to listen in a different way. Because there is this box that says, you must speak this way in order for me to understand you. There's a whole big world out here. And I love Universal Spirit Center. I love what we do. But I also know that we got to get on the carpet and understand that we can do better, we can do more. Let's take a breath. This is a new opportunity for all of us to not only embrace diversity, but to attach it to inclusivity, to be inclusive, to welcome in other expressions, to welcome in the creative and the ways of a larger community that continues to expand us to a greater expression. When we come together collectively to expand who we are, that is such a plus for everyone. For everyone. So it says, an equal opportunity employer is an organization that agrees not to discriminate against any employee or job applicant because of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, physical or mental disability, or age. In other words, an equal employment opportunity is given to everyone when they're considered for various employment decisions and receive fair, unbiased treatment in the workplace. That's a big statement at the end. Fair, unbiased treatment in the workplace. We've all have been in places where we have been looked upon as less than. Sometimes as a woman that you don't do the same job as a man. That's what I loved about that video, that it crossed all the barriers, things that I was like, oh wow, I didn't think about that. I've made jokes about men being maternity leave. You didn't have no baby. Because those were things that were not done then, but they're done now. And why not? So anywhere we find that tug of yesterday, there are so many that say, oh, I wish we could go back to the way things were. I am not one for that. I'm very happy to forge ahead. And in these unknown waters, in these untraveled times, I am willing and eager to embrace. And will I make mistakes? Absolutely. I made it in the transgender community. I didn't realize the importance of recognizing and I think it's important that we're able to make mistakes and not be condemned. Those are great teaching moments. Because when we can teach another, we can uplift us all. But if we're not willing to teach, if we get so hurt and so bitter that we just withdraw to the old, then how does that embrace us supporting anew? So it can be very uncomfortable. But change always is. Chaos is. So let us take a break and a breath right now. I hope you join me next week when we dive in deeper to inclusion And I hope you take with you. So this is my charge for you, Universal Spirit Center. That you see in your life, that you recognize where you're not being inclusive, or where you can learn to be inclusive. That having diversity, it's not enough just to have diversity. We must learn how to include all into our lives. Doesn't mean that you have to agree with everyone's life choices, but to respect each person, to respect that they are of value. That's a heart space. That's a love space. That's divine growth. So take the breath with me right now. As we settle into this awareness that the charge this week is to recognize how we can be more inclusive in our thinking, in our action, and in our speaking. And with that being said, if there are times and moments that you stick your foot in your mouth, it's okay. To me, it's okay, because without it, we can't move forward. We can't be afraid, because if you're afraid to go left or right, then you do nothing. So I encourage you to stand, step up, and recognize where diversity is in your life, and also where inclusion is in your life. Let's take the breath. Let's take the breath. And let's just rest in this moment. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, whether you're watching live or you're seeing a live recording of this later. So in this very moment, in this blissful divine space, I am absolutely in celebration, in joy, and divine appreciation, as my gizmo gadget here is having a little challenge connecting. So this is our conscious giving time. I want to thank you for all that you do for Universal Spirit Center, for meeting the match that we had a couple of weeks ago. We've reached it. We actually went a little bit above it. So thank you for your contributions, for supporting a community that is a global expansion of divine consciousness, of awakening. And you are a part of that. So I thank you so much for all that you do. And this is just really a beautiful time to be present. You know, this Saturday, it is going to be on and cracking. I'm just going to see if I can get my iPad to work with me. But I see that's why I'm having trouble here. Really. Let's see something here. Let's see if we can get back on. We lost the internet. I don't think so. Um, Al, are you able to get anything over there? I'm not able to. Yeah, I've rebooted too, and I'm still not getting anything. So I don't know if you can hear us, but I want to thank you for this night. How long ago did we lose internet? Okay, so most of the talk was there. Um, Peace and blessings if you can hear me. If not, know that I am sending you much love and light. And this is a recording, so at some point you will be able to see the final. So yeah, it's still rebooting here. The internet has gone out. I love you. I bless you. I thank you for all that you do. I hope to see you this Saturday, for the Barbecue and Blues concert. Yeah, baby. Al and Carolyn are getting the ribs and chicken, getting it together, baby. So we look forward to seeing you then. And peace and blessings.